Hello everybody, welcome to this instruction video. In this video I'd like to show you how to make part 3 of the Stitch Story Crochet Along. The Stitch Story has been designed by Heather Gibbs from Keep Calm and Crochet On UK. For this square we're going to use the same yarn as I've used up to now in the pattern, which is Scheepjes River Washed yarn. For square number 3 from this cowl we're going to be making this diamond patterned popcorn. Here you can see there's the popcorn, and in the middle there's a bit of a bobble stitch, a bit of a puff stitch. It also gives it some texture. I'm going to show you how to work the small square. The small square and the large square are very similar. You can see this is the large square that you're working, this is the small square. So the small one is a part of the large square. But I'm only going to show you the small square because all the components that you're going to need here are being repeated on the large square also. So I'm sure that if you can do the small square, you can do the large square also. So I'm going to refer you to the written pattern for that. It's up to you again how many squares you make. I'm making one small square and one large square. You can make 4 small ones, you can make 20 small ones, you can make only large squares. That's all up to you. I'm going to show you the small square. For this one I'm going to use a 3.5mm hook with my yarn to get the gauge I need. And for the large square I've also used the 3.5mm hook. I'll take you step by step through the rows that make up this pattern. It will be to the halfway point because from there everything is being repeated. And I'll show you how we make the popcorns and all the bits in between. I hope it's a useful video for you. Thank you for watching. Row 1. For this pattern you're going to be using a 3.5mm hook, or a different hook if you have a different gauge. Slip knots on your hook. Start by doing chain 26. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just going to do chain 26. And you may notice at certain points in the video that I'm actually using a 4mm hook, but just ignore that. That was just me using the wrong hook at certain points. But I'm going to do a chain 26 and then come back and work the first row. 26 chain stitches. Now going to skip the first stitch and then work a half double in each stitch. So we're going to skip that first loop and then go to the second, work a half double in there. That's your first stitch. So that little chain 1 there that you skipped does not count as a stitch. This half double is the first stitch. And then work a half double in every stitch to the end. That's 2, 3, do that again, 3, this is 4, and continue until you're to the end, working a half double in every stitch. That will give you 25 half doubles. For row 2, do a chain 1, turn and work a half double on every stitch. Row 2 is going to be a row that you're going to be keeping on repeating as we're making this square. Chain 1, turn your work, then work a half double on every stitch. And that chain 1 is not a stitch, so that means here this very first loop is where you want to work into. So working a half double on every stitch, you're going to have 25 half doubles here. And you're going to do 1 on every stitch. And so like I said, this row, row 2, is going to be a row that you're going to keep on repeating at certain intervals. You're going to do a row with popcorns, and then you're going to do a row 2. So every second row is going to be a row 2 repeat. So this is a great base round to just you can just work, and then with the popcorn rows you've got to just pay attention to your stitch counts. So 1 half double on every stitch to the end. And 2 more. See, I've got 2 more stitches here. If I just rotate them forward, you can see there are 2 more stitches. That one and then this is the last one on that last half double. See, there's that little chain one. You're not going to work in that. That's row 2, and from now on we're going to start building the pattern. Row 3, chain 1, again not a stitch, turn. Now we're going to work a single crochet on every stitch. That's the first one, and this row of single crochets will just give you a nice border from the popcorn rows. I'm going to work a single crochet on every stitch to the end. That would be 25 single crochets. So every stitch right here to the end. Row 4, chain 1 and turn. And this is the first row that we're going to do a popcorn in. But first we're going to make 12 half doubles, starting in the first stitch. The first one we work 12 half doubles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 11, 12. There we go. 12 half doubles. In the next stitch, it's the center stitch of your fabric, going to work a popcorn. There are different ways of doing a popcorn, and for this pattern I'll show you the way that it's done for this design. You start by working 5 double crochets in the same stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's 5 double crochets in the same stitch. I'm going to open up that loop of my working yarn. I'm just going to push that over my finger. That's to make sure that I don't accidentally pull out this last stitch, because if that loop's too small that could happen. Then go back to the first of those 5 double crochets and insert your hook in there. Then pick up your working yarn again, so pick up that loop and over your hook, of course, pull tight. Now for this pattern we're going to yarn over and pull through all the loops on our hook. Sometimes you just pull it through, but for this pattern we're going to yarn over and pull through all the loops. And that's the popcorn completed. I'll show you again when we do the popcorns again. In the next stitch, work a half double. And this first half double tends to pull a little bit because you've got this popcorn that's kind of in the way there. So that first half double will be slightly larger, that stitch there, than the ones you've got next to it. If you now look at your stitches, you see there's a half double, and there's the popcorn, and there's the half double. Continue and work a half double on every stitch to end. That's going to be 12. So this is number 2, 3. This is what your fabric's starting to look like. You see you've got that first popcorn there. Row 5. Row 5 is a repetition of row 2. I'd just like to show you this row because especially here with the popcorn, it's just important that you see where all your stitches go. But after this I'm not going to show you this row anymore. I'm just going to say, work the popcorn and then repeat row 2. Do a chain 1 to turn, and now work a half double on every stitch. Now because we had 12 half doubles after the popcorn, it means 12 half doubles, and then you'll get to the popcorn. But in essence you work a half double on every stitch. This is 2, 3. You're going to have 25 for this row in total. I'm just going to work a little faster just till I get to the popcorn. then I just like to show you how to work the stitches there. But the moment if you're in doubt as to where your stitches go, just make, if you have 25 at the end of the row, all is fine. To work a half double here, this is still on a half double stitch. Then the next stitch, that stitch, this one here, this is actually the last half double before the popcorn. Let me just open this up, maybe that'll help you to see. See that there's the last half double before the popcorn. You see that's the first half double we made after the popcorn in the previous row. Then this little loop here, that little space, that's the popcorn itself. And then this here is the first stitch after the popcorn. So you're going to work one on a half double on all three of those. And that way you frame the popcorn nicely. So that's 1, 2, and 3 half doubles, and then the rest is just to the end. And like I said, make sure you have 25 and then all as well. If we just look at our work from the front, so we're going to continue here until you've got 25, but if we just look at our work from the front, you can see that your popcorn now has a bit of a nice piece of fabric behind it, so it's nicely settled into the fabric. So continue to the end and then I'll see you for the next row. Row 6, chain 1, turn, and work a half double on the first 9 stitches. The very first one, work a half double. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then this is number 9. 9 half doubles. In the next stitch we work a popcorn. So that's again 5 double crochets in the next stitch. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Open up, it's going to catch that loop and then come back to the first of those 5. That's that one there. Come back to that first one, pick up the loop and pull tight. Yarn over and take through both that loop and the stitch here. Continuing on the next stitch, work a half double and then we're going to do that in 5 stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 half doubles. Brings you to the other side of this popcorn, and they work another popcorn. So again, 5 doubles. It's 1 and 2, 3, 4, and then this is number 5. My fingers aren't cooperating today. 5 doubles. Come back to that first one. If you're in doubt, always just open up your work and you'll see immediately where that first one is. You see that's the last half double, then that's the first double. Pick up the loop, pull tight, yarn over and pull through everything. You have 9 stitches left. I'm going to work a half double on each of those. So half double on 9 stitches. Then when you're at the end of the row, come back and repeat row 2. That is a half double on every stitch, and then you should have again 25 half doubles. So you work 9 half doubles here, then come back and work 25 half doubles on the next row. Row 8 is going to be very similar to row 6. The difference is the number of half doubles between the popcorns. You're going to chain 1 and turn. Now we're going to start with 7 half doubles. And then we'll do the popcorns. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 half doubles. Then in the next stitch the popcorn, and here we do it with 5 double crochets. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Open up, come back to that first stitch, which is on that one, pick up the loop, and for this pattern yarn over and pull through. On the next stitch is going to do a half double, and we're going to do that on the next, if I recall, 9 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So that's 9 half doubles, and then a popcorn. You can see how this diamond is forming here. So that's 5 doubles in the next stitch. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then come back to that first stitch to complete the popcorn. And on your last 7 stitches, work a half double on each of those. And when you're finished this row, you're going to come back and work a half double on every stitch. And then we've got one more row left. That's going to be the widest point of the diamond, and then everything is a repetition of what we've already done. And then on that last stitch there, 7 half doubles. So that completes row 8. Come back and work all those half doubles. Row 10, chain 1 and turn. I'm going to work a half double on the first 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, followed by a popcorn. Sure, by this point you know exactly how you're doing that. So I'll do a little faster. 3, 4, and 5 double crochets. Come back to that first one, pick up your yarn over, pull through. We're not going to work to the other side and work the popcorn here. We're going to work to the middle and work a small what in this stitch is called a bobble. There are different versions of the bobble, and I'll just show you what the version for this pattern looks like. But first we're going to make a half double. We're going to make 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now in the next stitch we're going to work a bobble, and for this pattern it's a combination of a bobble and a puff stitch. I'll just show you how we're going to do this. We're going to do a yarn over, then in this stitch pick up a loop and pull up, and pull that loop up to your working height. Going to do another one, over, insert, pick up your yarn and bring up that loop. And then we do it a third time. Pick up your yarn, insert, yarn over and bring up that loop. So you've now got 6 loops here plus your starting loop. So this looks a lot like a puff stitch. So we're going to yarn over and pull through those first 6 loops. And then yarn over and pull through the last 2. And this is the bobble that we're making for this pattern. So you've got I'll show you again, because we're not going to make another one in this square. This is the only one, so I'll show you again. So yarn over, insert in the stitch, pick up and pull up. Yarn over, insert in the stitch, pick up and pull up. Yarn over, insert in the stitch, pick up and pull up. You've got 6 loops here. Yarn over and pull through those first 6. Then yarn over and pull through the last 2. That's the bobble stitch you've just made. Going to continue and work 6 half doubles. And now it's all easy sailing again. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The next stitch we work a popcorn again, and then we've got 5 stitches left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to the end to work the last trebles. So we're going to work 5 half doubles, then work the popcorn, work 6 half doubles, work the puff stitch, another series of half doubles, work the popcorn, and then work the last remaining 5 half doubles. At the end of row 10, this is what your square looks like. Okay, you've had this last row, so the 5 half doubles, popcorn, 6 half doubles, the little bobble, 6 half doubles, popcorn, 5 half doubles. Then you're going to come back and work another row of half doubles on every stitch, and then you're going to repeat everything that you've just done. So these rows here, we're working out on the diagonal and are going to work back in. So then going to repeat rows 8, then row 6, and then row 4, and then going to finish with a row of half doubles and single crochets, and that's going to complete your small square. So from here on, it's a repetition of everything you've already done, and you can find all the repetitions in the written pattern, and you can jump back to certain rows in the video if you do need them. What I'm also going to do is I just like to check my square for size. Now this is the square from week 1. I'm just going to put my square on that, and I'm actually very happy on this for width. You can see I'm more or less the same size as this pattern, as a square from week 1. I'm roughly about halfway, and that's also exactly what we want at this point. So I'm very happy with this square. I'm just going to continue and work these rows on the other side, and that's going to then complete the small square. When you've completed the inside of the square, also remember to work the edge, which is again going to be exactly the same as all the edges you've done before. So 3 single crochets in the corner and 25 singles along each edge. You're going to do that all the way round. When you've completed your square, this is what your square looks like. You see I've also done the single crochet edge around, and again I've marked exactly where those corners are. So the 3 single crochets in the corner, marking that center one, and then 25 singles along each edge. Work away your yarn tails when you're done, still need to do that, and then that completes the small square. When you've done the small square, everything you need to do is exact for the large square is actually very similar, even exactly the same to a certain degree. You see here the small square fits onto the large square, so this is a repetition of the small square, but just in a different layout. So I'm not going to walk you through the large square, because it's exactly the same as the small one. Only difference is you're going to have more popcorns per row, and you're going to have a different number of half doubles between your popcorns, but you can see it's exactly the same. So I'm going to refer you to the written pattern for the large square, or you can use the chart, whichever works good for you. But you've now seen everything that you need to be able to do this square. So again, make your chain, your base chain, work your half doubles in there, and then come back and work your popcorns row by row. And you're going to go through and you see how you're working 4 of these diamonds. When you're finished, work a single crochet edge around with in the corners again the 3 single crochets, marking those, and 50 single crochets along the edge. And also do match this with your gauge swatch from week 1. I used a 3.5mm hook for both the large and the small square, but if your gauge is different, you'll of course use a different hook. But you see, this is the small square, this is the large square for this week. Brings us to the end of part 3. I want to thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon for part 4.